you had to dress up as a founding father, which one would you dress up as?
Oh man.
Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass. Today I'm talking to Erik and Carson Bloomquist of Founders Day, which is debuting at Popcorn Frights on August 18th, 2023. I'm going to talk to them right now, and while you're watching, if you can like and subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. I'll spend a lot. Thank you. So thanks so much for joining me today. I have Erik and Carson Bloomquist of Founders Day, which is debuting at Popcorn Frights on August 18th, 2023. It is a political slasher that has an interesting tone, some twists and turns along the way, and kind of an unconventional slasher motif. I'm excited to talk to them about this, so thanks so much for joining me.
We're happy to be here. Thanks, man.
Of course, of course. So, I guess the question, like, what was the inspiration for this film? How did you kind of get involved in writing and then directing this movie?
Yeah, so this was actually the first thing that we did was a concept trailer for this film over a decade ago. We shot different pieces to make a fake trailer as if we'd shot the film to show it to folks and hopefully be able to then use that as some way of a catalyst to create the full thing. We didn't quite get to do that immediately, but it put us on a path to creating a bunch of projects that we've now been able to complete the circle and do this. And it sort of has taken on a new form. It's built on our formative love of slashers, as well as just small town mystery. And we wanted to just fuse those together.
So for She Came from the Woods, you had a short for that. For this, you had a trailer. Is there like a whole back trove of like Bloomquist specials that I can look to see your future projects? Like, is there just a catalog I can look through?
Kind of. I mean, some of the stuff we've revisited a fair amount of stuff. I mean, and there might be there might be another thing we're thinking about continuing at some point soon. But I think that the thing with Founders Day was that we'd been chasing it for so long, and in some ways, this is the thing that will allow us to go full circle with this whole thing. Like that, this is kind of like the last fully open OG kind of
Bloomquist the last thing. Unfulfilled project,
prophecy.
You know what I mean? Prophecy.
The last like regret, I guess. The last baby that you put.
But that's why this one is so resonant to us. Not that we don't love our other babies, but this is very it's just been with us for so long, and it's so tied into early influences with some kind of new sensibilities and what we've learned along the way. So it's been very special to be able to do this one that we've been chasing for over a decade. So it was kind of important for us to not close the door is the wrong word, because like I want this to like
slam the door.
No, just I want this to
just stab the door right there.
Yeah. Walk through the door.
To walk through the door.
Yeah. Into something else. But, there's seeds of other stuff too, though, I'd say, that like exist in prior projects or ideas that we'll want to potentially revisit as well. But I think this is like the big one that sort of like lets us walk through that door.
Awesome. And one thing that I'm curious, like you just said that this was a 10-year project, like you made the trailer 10 years ago. Politics has changed so much, probably not for the better, but it has changed so much in the last 10 years. Like, what was it weird kind of going back and seeing the trailer and seeing like what crazy things would be in politics and just kind of adjusting it to our current times? There's not a lot of like the current hysteria was in this film, but there was definitely a lot of divisive characters and some very different divergent political views. So did you have to update the movie to take advantage of or to take into account our current political climate?
We did. I'll let Carson speak mostly to this, because he originally there wasn't a huge political component at all to the movie. There was a mayor, but there wasn't this political unrest, heated election situation. And Carson introduced that idea, and when he did, we kind of reconfigured the script and combined some characters and shifted some town positionings around to make that work. Yeah. But the whole like centralized political aspect of the movie, I think, was something that you thought of probably a year before we actually did it.
Yes, I think so. And it was sort of I think inspired in part by the time of year as well, and thinking about cultivating that central conflict, and it sort of tied some things together for us that we were figuring out how to like tie together. And it sort of, I think, lends itself to right now very well, just because of how heightened and polarized and everything is. And we don't purposefully so, we don't mention like affiliations or philosophies outside of campaign slogans, because I think what this sort of political angle is allowing us to do is explore social dynamics in an interesting way. And that's sort of why we wanted to infuse it. And it, you know,
how people jockey for position and both like in office and out of office, and it like positioning in people's lives. And it just,
yeah.
And it
sure.
makes
I
sense.
mean,
If they're fighting over, you know, what the right move is, do we go on with this Founders Day festival or do we not? So it just kind of is a way to raise those stakes, that it's not just like we have two different ideologies, we have two different political ideologies on this, and we're going to use this and we're going to kind of campaign on this. And
yeah, exactly. It's you know, it would be one thing just to like have them wonder, should we have this event? But then you start bringing in some of their like underlying motivations that you see, you know, like, oh, we need to have this tradition before the town, and then like, oh, and I'm gonna be the one to bring it forth, right? That kind of stuff is interesting as well. And then I do like agree, you didn't fully go into the political spectrum because, like you said, you don't really know the parties. These are kind of just like two political ideas, not necessarily a specific party. But I think it does give a nice kind of backdrop for the overall story. I loved the cast. I thought this cast was fantastic. Like,
Thanks,
where
man.
did you get them? Had you worked with a lot of these people before? Because it seemed like just as I was looking at them, I was like, oh, I love all these indie actors. I've seen them before in other indie films. It's like a nice little you know, who's who of indie acting.
that really means a lot, because we love structuring really cool ensembles, like actors that you love, but actors that you love together. And you like, just to say, it's very exciting for us, and to see people who are, I think it starts with people that we've worked with before, like the
Relationship
filling in a couple of roles with people that we know that that's suited for them, and then using our existing relationships to see other people who wanted to work with us, or that might make sense to bring into the fold, who would resonate with how we work and what we're doing, and then from there filling in with some auditions. And
yeah,
like
I was gonna say, I think having that baseline is very helpful, because like it's this foundation of like trust that we have, and then there's a bunch of other distinct characters, as you know, layered throughout the movie. So I think having that foundation allows us to sort of explore and see which interesting personalities and performances we can go find, and I'm very happy with how it came out. I think everybody is like very distinct in this movie.
And for instance, like Amy was is a friend. She worked with us on another movie right before this. We wanted to give her something totally different than she had done, because she was like, you know, just a nice, cool mom character in the last one. She's, you know, Blair Gladwell, which you'll see what that means if you see the movie.
Everyone will know what a Blair Gladwell is.
I knew Kathy Curtin, who plays Commissioner Peterson. Originally, that role was written as a man, and Carson and I asked the question. We were like, what if it was a woman? And we were like, and Carson, you were like, what if it's Kathy? And we were like, oh, that'd be awesome. And we kind of like structured a little bit and added a little bit more like fun little comedy beats, but that added some really fun colors to the movie. And then from there, we build out like, okay, what makes sense? Who makes sense here? Blah, 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 blah. Devin came in, and Emilia came in, and some other like friends of friends, and just building out from there.
Yeah, and you were also saying that there's some roles too here. I'll just echo that you might not know exactly where they're from, but there's a familiarity, and you were saying as well, where it's like, that there's just something clicks when you sense who someone is, but it's not like, you know, it doesn't need to be like, oh, that's that name from, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I've seen them, and they kind of make sense in this world.
Yeah, I mean, even like with like Mr. Jackson, that Carson, we talked a lot about that, and Carson just sent me a picture of William Russ one day, and like, we loved Boy Meets World growing up, and I was like, that's perfect. Like him 20 years later, and he just feels like exactly like these history teachers that I had, and there's a love and a kinship there, and bringing somebody like that into the fold that we care a lot about. And he was amazing. I mean, he cares so much about the movie and was on set even when he wasn't working, and was a huge, wonderful collaborator. I think having energies like that on set is a huge thing. So long answer to your question, but we it means a lot to us to create a cool ensemble for sure.
Yeah, no, it was definitely fun. I love seeing Amy Hargreaves in it too. I know, or I saw her in Taint, which I love.
Yeah.
So it was really fun to kind of like, I was like, I like they said, I recognized her, and I went back and looked up the IMDb page and started making all the connections to the various actors that we have. So it was really fun.
Hopefully other people do that too.
Yeah, I'll check out their other work too. So I guess that's part of the idea. One of the things that I loved about this film, and also She Came from the Woods, it felt like a throwback movie. It felt like there was definitely an older feel. This one felt maybe a little bit like 90s slasher. Is that an intention of yours? Is that just kind of what you draw from, or maybe I'm just reading too much into it?
I'm sure that's there.
It's there, I think, in the vibe and the tone. I think it's a now movie, but the sensibilities in some ways of that just kind of like are very interesting to us to explore current things through that lens.
And just I think the textures and tonality, excuse me, of it too. Like, it was very important to me, that the classroom feel a little older, that it was a chalkboard, that it wasn't a whiteboard, that it was an older school, that we had these older desks, because it just there's a charm. I mean, beyond visual interest and there being a texture to that, there's just I think a feel that evokes, and kind of an intimacy that evokes. It feels a little less sterile, and I wanted that it, just in terms of community building for a movie about community, that was very important. Interspersed with modern language, and people are using cell phones and modern political unrest, like you mentioned earlier on. So marrying those two things was definitely there. And the difference, obviously, again, like with Woods, like it actually did take place in 1987, whereas this takes place today. But we totally drew from those influences without trying to mimic them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it probably wouldn't be the same kind of movie if everyone was just in Zoom at home, and then this killer would just like randomly go into people's rooms. That would probably feel a little different than this film. So that makes sense. I know we have limited time, so I'm gonna switch. I call it the lightning round. They're just lightweight questions about the film. I want to see how your experiences map to things in the film. You can feel free to pass on any of them. I will not be offended, but I try to keep them very answerable.
Cool.
First question: have you ever worked on a campaign?
No.
All right.
Well, no, I ran for class president.
School campaign.
School campaigns I have. Yeah.
And did you win? And did you have to kill anyone to get elected?
I think I lost.
I think I won a VP thing in middle school.
What?
Yeah. So
all right.
I won.
And strangely dodging the second question, I'll just leave that up in the ether, and we can move on.
What was the second?
Did you have to kill anyone to get elected? Carson?
Oh,
I still can't hear the question. I'm sorry. Let's go to the next one.
Did your hometown have any sort of like political or kind of patriotic festivities around it?
Yeah,
I think town festivals that sort of like feel a little bit more community based, kind of like summer fireworks fair and waterfall festival in the fall, stuff like that. Nothing extreme, you know what I mean? But like
we shot like the mayor's speech at the gazebo where they did the town festival over the summer for the concept trailer 10 years ago. So yeah, I think
it definitely had a little inspiration.
That's awesome. Have you ever gotten detention?
Once.
Got one.
Detention.
Rebel without a cause.
Punched detention once.
I was so embarrassed because I wasn't the kid who got detention. I think they like saw me with a phone or something. Sad. Didn't you punch a kid?
I punched a kid in the face.
It was an accident though.
Yeah, it was, but it's more fun to just say I punched a kid in the face and got detention because it's unexpected.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And I'm glad that you turned your lives around from your rebellious, dysfunctional past. It's really good to hear. Have you ever put like a lock on a bridge or done any sort of like weird touristy romantic gesture?
Maybe.
Nothing, I think, to this degree. There's something I just really love about it. Yeah, there's still time. There's something I love about it, but I haven't personally done like we kind of show in the film.
Yeah, that sounds good. Have you ever actually seen the like "Let's all go to the lobby" that like theater animation for snacks? Have you ever actually seen that in a movie? Because I've always seen it, but don't think I've seen it before a film.
seen it at a drive-in.
Yes, driving, and
That
maybe one more, but we
Yeah.
driving.
That sounds like the perfect place to see it. And the last question is, if you had to dress up as a founding father, which one would you dress up as?
Oh man, George Washington. It's just I'll go with George Washington.
Ben Franklin, just so I could get the prosthetics.
That's both of those are good. I mean, George Washington, you'd have an axe, so that would help. Ben Franklin, you'd probably have like lightning
Yeah.
powers. That would work out.
It's like lightning powers, it's like kites and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the film is debuting at Popcorn Frights on August 18, 2023. You're out promoting it, getting the word out. People can finally see this film after a 10-year hiatus from the trailer. After
That's all it takes, guys. 10 years.
So 10 years of hard work and sweat and blood and an entire change in the political climate to get a movie made.
You said it.
But after people see this film, I'm sure you both are working on other movies. Is there anything else that people can expect from you other than the like unnamed baby that you apparently have sitting around in your history?
Nothing yet, but I mean, we're trying to get something going pretty soon. We have this other indie movie on the circuit, this romantic musical dramedy teen love story situation. So that's called Intermedium. So that's at Fests now. So that'll probably be on digital next year.
Excellent. And how many people die in this romantic teen musical?
Well, it's about a ghost who haunts a bedroom that a girl moves into.
So more than you might think.
So he's dead. They fall in love, as happens in movies. So at least one.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. So you can look forward to that. But before, check out Founders Day. It comes to, it's to be at Popcorn Frights on August 18th, 2023. I imagine it'll play a few more circuits before coming to digital probably later this year, would be my guess. But definitely keep your eye out for it. It is a fun throwback political slasher. This is Erik and Carson Bloomquist. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, David.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That was Erik and Carson Bloomquist of Founders Day, which is debuting at Popcorn Frights on August 18, 2023. It is a political slasher that has a throwback feel, some over-the-top characters, and some twists and turns along the way. If you like this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.